What up guys, Super Metal 983 here bringing us another album review, and this time I've got a 2019 release that you really need to check out, and honestly this is probably my most anticipated album of 2019. Not any other artist you can think of, this was it for me. This was one that I was really hyped up for and ready for some new groove, should we just say. But yeah, I'm going to be talking about the new Herod album entitled Sombre Dessein, I believe how you pronounce it, and this is released under Pelagic Records. You know I'm not good at pronunciation, but here we are today. But yeah, this is the band's second full-length album, and if you aren't too familiar with Herod, they are a progressive sludge metal band hailing from, I believe, Sweden, if I'm not mistaken, and I first got introduced to this band through the Death Crusher tour in 2015. They were the opening band for Carcass, Obituary, Napalm Death and Voivod. They were the opening band. It said special guest on the poster and I had no clue who it was, so I just thought I'd go in and just see who it is, and it turned out to be Herod. And I'm not gonna lie, at that show there was a lot of people just staring away at them and just like, yeah, this isn't very good stuff. But me and my girlfriend at the time were just stood there in awe of just the monolithicness and the heaviness that was just coming out of this noisy project that was Herod. And I was really impressed with them. I was like, yeah, I need to go and see if they've got any CDs or anything. I need to listen to these guys more. And I ended up picking up their debut album, which is called They Were None. Now, if you've been following my super metal recommendations or have looked back on my previous episodes, this was the main recommendation that I started with back when I first did my first episode. And I still stand by what I said on this album, that it's just a really crushing, riffing album, and definitely something, it's a highlight in my collection. It's one of those, like, gem records that you find, you know, like, to me anyway, nowadays, it's still a grail. I think this is a damn good album, and this was released back in, I think it was 2014, so the year previous, so, yeah. But I gave it a bit more exposure and shared it around. There's still a few people that I got to check this band out, and they actually really do like them nowadays, so that's all good. But anyway, obviously that's been, what, 5 years since the release of this album, and I've been eagerly anticipating over the years a new Herod album, and I started to like get into the mindset that there wasn't going to be another one. I was hoping for it, but I always went back to the album, and it made us hope even more that there was. And then in 2018 we got a tease of a new album, and now in 2019 we are here with a new album, as I said, called Sombre Dessein, I believe how it's pronounced. But anyway, yeah, was it worth the wait, these 5 years? Hell fucking yes, because this has delivered on all fronts what I wanted from this album. And it kind of, I know I said in the super metal recommendations that the band kind of sounds like a down-tempoed groove metal sort of project, which at the time I obviously didn't know what progressive sludge or sludge metal was. The most I'd really dwelled into was the likes of Mastodon and maybe a bit of Neurosis and Baroness, for example. That's the closest I've got to exploring the realm of sludge, which is something that I really would like to get a hold of more. But that has not been said that this album is absolutely monolithic. I mean, this is one of the biggest, most charismatic sounding albums I have heard in a long fucking time. This is absolutely massive sound in this album. It's soul crushing and just gritty and down. Just, it actually feels quite dirty to listen to, if you ask me. Like, from the whole the 8-string instrumentation that's on here, really low tune. That's where I kind of got the down tempo sort of thing, but it's actually down tuned. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, that 8-string vibe just, it creates this really dark, sinister kind of creepy lurking sort of disgusting kind of atmosphere in there that's not really like something that I can really put into words. It's something you really have to experience with this album. I feel like the whole atmosphere on this album is a little bit different compared to what it was on There Were None. I mean, that album I feel was a bit more groovier, centralised, and a bit more riffier, heavy, but it still had the like progressive elements and the darker elements in there. But I feel like this album just takes a bit more of a more dreary, more eerie sort of vibe to it. It's kind of like, you know, like radiation sort of vibes in there, not like you know, the meters are going left, right, and centre. It just feels like eerie to listen to. But the overall atmosphere, from the heaviness to the grit, is just there. And then throughout the entire progression, the riffs, when they kick in hard and heavy and downright gritty. They just feel so gnarly to listen to, if you know what I mean. Like, they just feel like the only way I can really connect it in some way is the same way that Violent Sleep of Reason by Meshuggah, for example, compared to the other Meshuggah albums, it definitely had that bit more of a rawer, more grittier sort of production than we'd heard on the Clarity, on the likes of Orbson and Colossus, for example. Whereas this one kind of feels like that's kind of gone a little bit more dirty. So I definitely see, if you're a fan of Meshuggah, this is definitely a band for you. Other vibes in there that I detect are a bit of Gojira sort of influence, sort of like in the more groovy, heavier aspect of this. But then, obviously, you could take that in itself as like relating to the likes of Fit for an Autopsy, who take that sort of influence, and that I definitely feel a little bit of a heavier grit and the power that lurks within Fit for an Autopsy's The Great Collapse. Now, obviously, that's a deathcore band, so yeah, don't hesitate away, because The Great Collapse, it has a lot of Gojira sort of influence, but I definitely feel that sort of vibe on there. And the more progressive, more eased back, chilled back sort of elements on this album definitely give it that sense of like a warm, dark sort of feeling to it, and that's really what is withheld on this album, is a really lot of dark atmospheres, but it's still very heavy, very gritty, and the grooves hit hard. They really hit hard. They make you what's it called, the stink face, as people call it, you know, and you go, oh. It's just gritty and just, makes you shiver with how dirty it's done. And this album definitely encapsulates that very fucking well, if you ask me. And that, I think, in its own, the atmosphere and the nerves it gives you make this album just all that more enjoyable, a little bit more unique, if you ask me. I don't think I've heard a unique album like this since, obviously, They Were Rot. Sorry, I've got the album here and I'm still fucking up the title. But anyway, and then the vocals definitely put me in mind of, I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head, but the singer of Meshuggah. It definitely puts that really aggressive, like, kind of despair, emotion, just filled, just gritty vocals. They're just bowled out there. They're not low, they're just sort of like a mid-pace sort of, like, you could say like a chanty, screamy sort of tone to them, but it definitely gives it that raw emotion, but it also creates a bit of atmosphere to it and makes it feel like more rancid in some way, shape or form. But the production of the 8 strings, which obviously in the 8-string department you can either lose clarity or you can get really pumped up, whereas this one I feel like gives it it's a bit muddier, but it really gives it that really dirty sensation to it that I think really works for this album. And then the clean vocals on top of that, when they come in, they just soothe the soul. The elegance, they just feel just luring in some way, like luring you into a false sense of security. And then some heavy 8-string groove will come in and it's just like, oh, that's what I wanted to hear. And I feel like that is what encapsulates this album to its best. And I think this is definitely going to be an album, no question or shadow of a doubt, that will go under the radar a bit in 2019. And that is a damn shame, because this is a fantastic album. And I want you all out there to click the links down below to their Facebook, Bandcamp, wherever, YouTube links, whatever I link. Leave it down there, check it out, because this album is an experience, and definitely one of the top dogs that I've heard so far in 2019. This is an absolutely sensational album, and definitely an album that's kind of surprised us. It's better than I was expecting, and quite frankly, I absolutely love it. It's gloomy, it's doomy, it's sludgy, it's heavy, groovy. It's got the lot. It's got everything you need for a good extreme metal album to enjoy it. And like as I said, if you're in the likes of Gojira, Meshuggah, or Fit for an Autopsy, those three bands in particular, if any of those sing out to you, definitely check out this album. Really solid stuff. It's gritty and heavy. I'm going to use my Spotify account here, and I'm going to tell you to check out the song Fork Tongue, which is the second track, which is an absolute banger of a song. What was the other song again? Silent Truth, yeah. Silent Truth, that is an excellent, excellent song. And let's go with the last song, There Will Be Gods. There Will Be Gods, yeah. That is a long track. There's a couple of long songs verging in the 10-minute mark and the 9-minute mark. And those tracks definitely give it that overall atmosphere on those tracks, if you ask me. So if that sounds like your type of alley, make sure you check out Herod, or Herod Noise as they're known, and on Instagram, I believe. But yeah, I'll leave links to all those down there. But make sure you check out Herod, progressive sludge metal, hailing from Sweden. If you want some great music to listen to, just check out this album, Sombre Dessein, I believe how it's pronounced, released under Pelagic Records, and I'm going to give this a solid 9.5 out of 10. Excellent, excellent album, and you just need to hear it to experience it. Fantastic, fantastic album. Make sure you check it out, and I'll see you until the next video. And remember, stay metal, and I'll see you later.